Hello, everyone. I'm Maddox Brown with New England MMA News, and I'm here with Brett Martin. How you doing, Brett?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
We're gonna get into your most recent fight. Your most recent fight at NEF 54, you defeated Lee Mahue via unanimous decision. Can you walk us through how the fight went for you?
Yeah, so definitely was kind of a big step up in like experience for opponents. I kind of like my first fight was someone who was an independent but had a few fights, so it was kind of like I knew there was gonna be scrappy, but probably not as skillful as someone coming from an established gym. Then I kind of had like two back-to-back relatively similar debuters. And so then I jumped right into someone who had, 8 fights to my three. And so I knew he was a good grappler. I knew he was strong as an ox, and he was young too. And so, it on top of coming off from a big layoff, I've had a year between fights, which was unfortunate. And so I really was, trying to get in there, experience as much time. Obviously, you want a quick finish if you can, but like not chasing it and really kind of embracing the experience in there. And we got all aspects of it in that fight, which was awesome. We had stand up wars, we had ground work, lots of scrambles, and it just gave me a lot more confidence going forward because 5 rounds of it was great against someone who was not going to quit throughout. And yeah, and it's experience that has helped me a lot going into this fight, I think, and kind of just in my growth as a whole. So yeah.
Did you expect the fight to be a war like that?
Oh yeah. If you see any of Lee's fights, man, like he will come out hot and he will basically, run it till the wheels fall off. Like he will gas out and still be throwing with full intention behind everything. So he's kind of like that controlled chaos kind of guy. And I mean, he just fought a couple weeks ago here and beat the guy in 31 seconds, I think it was. Just as a beautiful knockout. And so, yeah, no, it's definitely what I expected, and it was what I was hoping for as well. So,
What lessons did you learn from that fight and how you apply them to your next fight?
definitely having a little bit more intent in there. I got really complacent as the fight went, as I felt him kind of wilting cardio wise. And that's something I'm known for is just having kind of cardio for days. And I was like, oh, okay, like I can pick my shots. I can, really kind of dictate it by in response and just kind of keep the center and back him up and pick my shots. I really wish I took a few more chances. And a lot of that could be due to just being a long layoff and stuff too. But really wish I had kind of put it more out on the line and even put myself more at risk if it came down to it, just to make some more stuff happen. But it's one of those things. Like even my coaches were like, "Yeah, Brett, like there was a few chances where you either they thought I had him rocked or something like that, and you could have chased the finish." And I kind of was complacent and just like was letting it come to me instead of chasing after it. And so it's definitely something I prefer, to be chasing finishes from here on out. So
Now we're gonna get into your next fight. You're fighting Joe Peters at NEF 59 for the NEF middleweight title. Can you give us your thoughts on this fight and how you see it playing out for you?
yeah, yeah. So Joe is a great guy. Me and Joe kind of got into the sport around the same time. And like I love the KT guys as a whole. They're nothing but, good to me and our team. And me and Joe have kind of been supportive of each other throughout our time in the sport, even before his fight with Kurt, up in Bangor. That's when my fiance was having her debut. And we were kind of all feeling out the cage at the same time. And like his coach Walter had me, doing some grappling stuff against the cage and doing some stuff with him. And so like there's no bad blood there. It's just sport for us, which I really, really like. Because I'm not interested in fighting people for, vengeance and all that stuff. Like it's this is a sport at the end of the day. And Joe is just tough as nails. Like 4-4, but he's only been finished one time. He lost to Ed in like kind of a controversial stoppage. Like because he was still scrapping. Like it's like he was gonna keep going until the end. And so he's got an incredible chin. He's really shown how far his grappling's come. Like he's working with really good guys in the gym, and his grappling has really gone leaps and bounds between fights. If you've watched it fight to fight, and so yeah, I am not going to say what my approach to it's going to be, but I anticipate he's gonna, bang to get in and put me against the cage. Obviously, we're at Aura, so it's gonna be a small cage. I'm guessing he's gonna probably try to put my back to the cage and grind me out and really make it a dirty fight, which like I love it, and that's why I'm excited for this matchup too, because I know Joe and I kind of have similar mentalities in there, and so we're gonna be kind of clashing in the middle and going for it. So
Did you expect a fight with Joe to happen at some point?
we've talked about it actually. So I cross trained with him a long time ago, and it was funny because he actually talked to me, and Joe's really open about that stuff, which is funny. He was like, "Yeah," he's like, "It sucks that you're training me because I would love to fight sometime," and it was so it's very genuine. There's no malice in it at all. But I was actually we were going to be trying to do this in June, and I'm kind of in my peak season for work at that time. I was coming off a little bit of an injury, and so I was like, "Hey man, I can't do it in June, but the next card I'd be down for it if you want to." And he's like, "Yeah, I want you at your healthiest. I want you at your best." And I was like, "All right, man, let's get after it." So I think we obviously if we're both still competing and moving forward, we're eventually going to clash. And so this is I think the best setting to do it too. Put a title on the line and stuff like that. So
Do you see any weaknesses in Joe's game?
um, I mean, Joe, I haven't seen the only time I've seen him kind of get controlled in any sense was against the debut, which I think was Sean Wakefield, who was 170-pound champ, and it was he's got really good wrestling, and this was probably, geez, I want to say this was Joe's. It was earlier in Joe's amateur career here, and he just kind of got wrestled. The guy just kind of stayed on, but the guy wasn't taking many chances either. He was really kind of playing it safe. It was his debut, and Joe was kind of hitting him on the feet, and he was just not having it, and just kind of stayed in a safe spot and controlled him on the ground there. But I think that's a hole that he's probably filled because, like I said, his grappling's really developed a lot. So, yeah, that's kind of the only thing that I really noticed glaring. But it's different. But yeah, no, it's I think he's a well-rounded fighter, and it's just going to be going out there, feeling it out, and seeing where I'm getting the advantage. If we're winning the exchanges on the feet, you try to keep it there. If we get to the cage and I'm winning there, so on and so forth. Trying not to force anything, because I feel like when you start trying to over game plan and force certain engagements, if you fail at those engagements, then suddenly you're like, oh, now everything's falling apart around me. This is not what we planned for. And so I'm really going into it thinking, okay, I'm going to try to beat him in every single area. So if something does go wrong, I can, switch the script really quickly. So, yeah.
What do you think your keys to victory will be in this fight?
Oh man, I think it's just going to be a grit war. I think it's going to be I think it's either going to be a really quick fight because we're going to go out and just start banging, or it's going to be a very long, drawn out kind of grind. And so it's going to be a war of attrition, I think. And so really, staying tight, not allowing any easy takedowns where you can grind me out, or not allowing him to just keep control in any area, and really just forcing it to be at my pace, because I always use the analogy of going for a run, right? If we go for a run, even if someone is slower or faster than me, if you're going at their pace, then it's more tiring, right? So the goal is to always make them run at your pace, and if they run at your pace, it's going to be way more exhausting for them. So really trying to get in there and dictate that pace, so he has to go at the speed that I want to go at, I think is going to be the most advantageous thing for me. So
Do you think if you get a win in this fight, you think you could see yourself going pro or maybe defending that title once more? Not to look past him or anything, but
No, no, without a doubt. I mean, it's definitely something that's been in the discussion. Like, I had another year layoff between fights, and we've been searching nonstop since this last fight. And so, like, I'm very grateful Joe like stepped in and did this because it's I'm excited because it's like I've been waiting to fight for a long time now. It's definitely something that we've talked about, potentially making that pro jump. Um, and probably kind of being in a spot where we'll put my name out for like a challenge Amy fight regardless, or like an entry level pro fight, and just seeing what's out there because I'm not yeah, I got into this sport pretty late. I started training when I was 25 after a collegiate like lacrosse career and stuff. And so, my clock is not like unlimited by any means. So I'm trying to be active, and like these kind of big layoffs in between really are painful for me to kind of sit through because I want to be in there and I want to be competing. And so really just finding fights is going to be like the main priority after this. So
I mean that's a tough thing in 85. I mean my brother can't find any fights
no,
either. It's like
absolutely. Yeah.
just it's not that deep in New
Yeah.
England, so
Yeah, you almost
but
have to kind of just travel out
yeah.
just to be able to, and it's interesting. And there's some organizations that will really kind of do work to get you there, but at the same time, then you have to take more time away from work and home and stuff like that. And so it's a really tough balance to make that work. So
How do you think your past fights have helped you prepare for this one?
yeah, I mean I've gotten a little taste of everything. Like I've had like a fight where it was obviously like my first fight. It was kind of like get the adrenaline out, try to stay calm and get it out, and it worked out well. The second fight was a debuter from FAF, and you like so that gym, he was supposed to have John Howard like Doomsday in his corner and stuff like that. Had no idea of his grappling background, just knew they had kickboxing, and so I was like, all right, let's just go try to implement my game. And I also got like a pretty like significant injury in that fight, my left eye. And so I had to learn to, work through that injury and adapt to that situation. Um, and then, went against a prolific striker in my third fight. And so it was like, okay, I need to like either bang or go to his work, like the place where he's weak, and just constantly getting those adapted spots. And then Lee kind of like culminated that all together. So it was like, okay, this guy is well rounded in all areas. We have to just figure it out and see where it goes and keep ourselves safe until we find those openings to capitalize. And so I think it's been a really natural progression, which I've been lucky for because obviously not everyone gets that. But I think it like leads right into this. And Joe actually fought Lee in his debut, I think it was. And so I'm sure he's thinking the same thing, like, okay, like I can get one back over that by if he beats me, it's almost like he's getting a win back over Lee at the same time. So I think there's a lot of impact in for both of us as far as that goes. So
So I know you've been training at Nostos a little bit. Can you tell us some of your key training partners that you're going to be training with in this camp?
oh, absolutely. Yeah. So up at Nostos, or I should say down at Nostos, where I'm traveling, just great rooms overall. Obviously, like your brother there, Burke, he's been great. That's actually the reason I started going down there to really kind of help uh continue to like round out my wrestling. Because he like obviously he's a prolific wrestler. But also just like the guys there, like Ross again, wrestling and MMA wise is just he's very smooth in between. Having snipers out there like Kyle and Brody that like not only are they snipers, but they are very well rounded outside of it too. So it's like it's not a freebie if you get in. Like you're gonna have to really, really work to get anything on them. Poofall, I've gotten like a bunch of work with as well. And all those guys and Coach Devin have been nothing but like family to me throughout this camp. Like when I get there and I'm picking their brain, they are, they could easily not give me that time because I'm coming from the outside. I could just be used as a body that is getting work and giving their guys work. but they've been nothing but, warm to me and giving me tips, advice, and help like promote me into this fight as well. So it's been a great experience.
What does fighting for this NEF title mean to you personally and professionally?
Yeah, so this is an emotional one for me because my buddy Bryant passed away a few months ago, and his last fight was against Joe. And I try not to bring that into it too much, but like it does mean a lot to me. Like he just was such a good guy in general. And like I'm actually lucky I actually will have his jersey for the walkout and stuff for that from Hustle Football, which means a lot to me. But you know, we debuted together at Aura 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago in September, actually. So we fought back to back from the same locker room. We went to college together. He's trained with us at our gym. So there's a lot of like underlying emotions to it that have been a great motivator throughout this camp. And I always say like the belt, my record and stuff like that stuff really doesn't matter to me that much. Um, it's great and I love like it's like a cherry on top of everything. But I think that really acts as like a reflection of my team and what like the people put into me. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm just in there to challenge myself. Like if I was, like if this was something that just came really naturally to me, like I probably wouldn't do it because I wouldn't be interested in it. Like I got into this because it was something that was scary at the time. And now I enjoy it and I love this process now. But it's real in there. Like it's very pure and you are sharing something with someone in there that very few people in the world get to experience. And so I've been basically on good terms with every person I fought. And like I think that experience of just beating the crap out of each other and it's such a pure athletic experience. It makes you grow as a person, because you kind of have to leave a little bit of humanity on the outside to go in. And I think it makes things a lot easier to grasp in life when you leave. And so just getting to experience that again and go back in is the biggest thing for me. So
How are you feeling mentally and physically going to this fight that you're now like 2 weeks out probably?
yeah, just under two, I think 13 days as of today. Yeah, doing good. Like today's kind of my rest day. I did a double yesterday. I go spar at Nostos, and then I immediately drive back and spar at our gym right after. And so that's kind of my big day. But weight's right on where it should be. It's working its way down. My energy levels for training are still really high, which is great. No major injuries or anything like that. So that's really all I can ask for. And my fiance had a fight, I think it was a week or two ago now. And I get more nervous for that stuff and my teammates fighting and all that than I do about my fights because I know if I am to make a mistake and like take the L, I can look myself in the mirror and go, yeah, like that was you missing it. You didn't capitalize on certain aspects or you like let this happen. Like when it's especially my fiance or my teammates, it's like, okay, did I do enough? Did I do enough to help them and stuff like that? So um knowing that she's done and has had her fight, I'm in a much better mental space now because I kind of can just be like, all right, just train, diet and get ready to throw. So yeah.
What should the fans at the Aura expect from Brett Martin on September 7th?
We're coming out hot. I think, and I think Joe will too. But I'm very intent on just putting the like a sprint pace out the gate. I'm not trying to do the waiting out 3 rounds. Not that I waited out 3 rounds in my last fight, but like the patience is going to be a little bit less. I'm trying to have a lot more intent in this fight, which Joe is the same way. So I think we're going to meet in the middle, and it's going to be a scrap. Where it goes, no idea. I have no idea where we're going to end up in the cage, but I think it's going to start off fast, and it's going to be a fun fight. So.
Do you have one final message to Joe Peters before you guys get locked in the cage together?
Oh, no, it's all love with Joe. Yeah, no, Joe, can't wait to share it with you, man. Like you said, two kings in the cage, man. It's just it's all sport for us, and can't wait to share it with you and your team. So it's gonna be a fun time. We'll go, get drinks and stuff after. So,
Now for my last couple questions, we're gonna get into your background, how you got into the sport of MMA.
yeah.
What inspired you to start your MMA career?
Yeah, so I've been an MMA fan for a long time. I've watched it since probably like middle school. Like I've always been fascinated with the sport and combat in general. Like I didn't do wrestling or anything like that in high school. I was varsity soccer, basketball, lacrosse, and then went to college for lacrosse. But like I had a lot of buddies, like including like Felipe, who fights out of our gym. Like I would go watch the wrestling meets whenever they were around because I was just like interested in it, and it was like my buddies on the basketball would like make fun of me because they were like why would you be doing that? Like it's not your sport. I was like, that's just it's interesting. Like it's a fascinating sport. And after I kind of finished school, my fiance went to Titan and started jujitsu when I was like I had already moved down to where we're at now, and so we were kind of living separate for a little bit. And she started doing jits, and I was literally like, man, I've been talking about this forever, and she's just going and doing it. And so I actually messaged John Rao, and I, at the time was a full time intern, so I was making no money. I was actually just bleeding money, and I was like, "Hey, I'll like mow your lawn, I'll work the front desk, whatever it is. Like, I'm just trying to get in and get this experience, And I started washing his mats for him, and that was my payment out the gate. And now I get to like coach with him and stuff like that, which is incredible. But yeah, that it immediately clicked. I was like, okay, I can just focus on myself. Like, we're all here to help each other, but I can't point fingers at anybody. In team sports, it's so easy. Like, oh, you messed this up. Like, like you can very much pinpoint where mistakes happen, and it's usually individuals not doing their role. Um, but when it comes to martial arts, it's you and a mirror. That's it at the end of the day. And so I took to that a lot better than any team sport I've ever done. So
How did you find the gyms you train at now?
yeah, so basically first class was like it was nearby. I was a mile away at the time. I was actually living with my parents while I was paying for an apartment up in the Bangor area because when I was an intern, and it was the closest by. I saw that they were in a full MMA gym and not just like a specific martial art. And I was like, all right, like this is the closest by. Let's start off. And then I ended up seeing a bunch of people I grew up with and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this makes sense for me to be here. And Titan, I have a relationship with because of living up in Bangor previously and going to school at Husson, as well as my fiance having trained there before. And so I've become friends with those guys as well. But like, connecting with those two, it's largely just been from networking, like we're talking, like me and Burke had talked previously, like about fighting and stuff like that. And at the time, like I had no wrestlers in camp. And so I was like, dude, like I need to get some wrestlers in camp before I take a fight with you, honestly, because like I'm gonna get ragdolled if not. Like we joke about it and stuff. But being available like that and just being real about it. And we would talk at the fights and be like, yeah, if we're not going to fight, let's train together. Let's get work. Like we're both big bodies. Like we need to kind of push each other. And so finally, Felipe had gone up there or down there, sorry. And he's like, you want to come? I was like, yeah, for sure. And so went and I just absolutely loved it. And so like that relationship started as well. So,
What has been the most memorable moment of your career so far?
ooh, only talking about my fights or
It
overall.
it can be your fights or someone else's.
Uh, I definitely attached to my fiance's debut a lot. Like she is a rock star, man. Like she just a little 115er, but she's just scrappy as all can be. Like, dude, there's not many times you see a 115er knock someone out cold, and she's finished two people. She has under a round of experience. She's talking crap to me now. She's like, oh, geez, well, it feels pretty good to knock someone out, so you should probably try. And I'm like, dude, Are you serious? So, but you know, that relationship in my corner has been huge because like she wraps my hand before every fight and just kind of brings that calm, and like we kind of have that like reciprocal relationship with that. And so having her support through it has been probably the biggest thing for me. And like, you know, being able to bring her in the cage after I won the title and stuff like that, and just having her around for this whole experience has been something I can't describe. Like I always joke with people. I feel terrible when people are like, "Yeah, I have to choose basically my relationship or the gym," and it's like me and Alicia won't even hear from each other for the day, but we know we're going to see each other at the gym, and so we're not worried about it, you know. And so like having that relationship has made this whole process a lot more achievable and much more fun to chase. So
Do you have any special shout outs to sponsors, supporters, and teammates before I let you go?
oh, I don't have my whole sponsor list in front of me, so I don't want to make the mistake of not hitting some of them. But I definitely, you know, shout out to First Class MMA and Fitness, Titan Athletics, No Sos MMA, and all like the teammates that have helped me in this camp. You know, I've it's been a lot of fun this camp, and I feel like I've grown a ton, and so I'm excited to go out and show how much I've kind of developed over the last year. So
All right. Thank you for coming on.